Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Following the Rules. This happened in the UK about 12 years ago, when I worked as a customer assistant in a large, well-known retail store. It's nothing big, but at the time I thought, okay, if that is how it is, then that's how I'll play it too. I'd been working for the company for 3 years and had not taken a single day off for sickness since I'd started working there. If I was feeling a little under the weather, I'd just go in and work through it whilst taking any medication, if required. Here's where it takes place. I'd been playing football with friends on a weekend when I got tackled and felt a shooting pain in my knee. Instant excruciating pain. I went to the hospital and got an X-ray, but nothing of concern was visible as there were no broken bones. But MRI results showed that I would need time to recover. Initially, I notified my manager that I'd been injured and would not be coming to work. After a week of absence, I provided a doctor's note, as required, which signed me off from work for 3 more weeks. A month after the injury took place, I was able to hobble around and was going stir crazy at home. My colleagues were keeping me updated on what was happening at work. I was aware that my manager was getting heat from senior managers for a member of the team having an extended absence. So I decided to go back to work. First day back, I am informed that there will be a meeting for my absence. I attend the meeting with a union rep and go over the absence and the reason for it. I explained everything that happened, but it seemed like my manager was not actually listening. She was just giving me a chance to have my say, but she already knew the decision she was making. The manager then takes some time out to make an informed decision on the outcome of this meeting. She comes back and tells me that because I have reached the trigger point for absences, she will have to give me a written warning. That's simple. I felt betrayed and appalled at how I was being treated after all I put into the company. I also found out that the union rep I had reached out to support me was intentionally being unhelpful because she was friends with my manager. Cue Malicious Compliance. I had 7 days to make an appeal against the decision, so I started looking into the company's attendance policy. The first thing I noticed was that the trigger point is to trigger a meeting to review absences and not to hand out written warnings like the manager had stated in the meeting. I also realized that employees cannot receive a formal warning for their first absence. It must be an informal verbal warning first, because the manager has to potentially tell you about the attendance policy at that initial meeting and keep a record of it in order to escalate. Then I went through the rest of the policy and found a loophole that meant I could take 3 days off sick every 3 months without triggering an attendance meeting. I made my appeal and the initial decision was overturned. So no written warning on record. Then, every 3 months, I would take 3 sick days off. This ended up giving me 12 extra holiday days per year. The next story is called Not Allowed. I was working at this multinational software consultancy firm a few years back when this happened. A few of us got a Skype notification from our manager to check our email ASAP. It was one of his higher-ups, with my manager and CC, asking us why we had some specific MS program installed, who gave us the license and authorization to install it, and if we didn't have an authorization, we should remove it and read our guidelines. He was an unprofessional jerk about it. I checked and did have it installed, even though I didn't install anything on that machine. Replied as such and said I had already removed it. Didn't really enjoy having to go through stuff when I wasn't in the wrong and with my manager as such. He just said I knew not to do it, which really set me off some more. Come next week, everyone gets the same treatment. Turns out we were all given the same software package when they imaged our laptops. Management became very quiet when we raised that flag, but did make sure to ask us to remove it. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. I was working on a project and we were asked at the end of one day to provide a video demo. We couldn't record using phone cameras, so I declined and told them how to run our work so they could see it running for themselves. I then left and ignored all calls from work, which were many. Went to the gym, had a nice meal, ignored all texts. Fun times. Come the next morning, I had several emails asking for our team to just use some software and get it done. That is just what I wanted. I asked, in writing if they would provide the software. I was told to just download anything and do it already, as the appropriate department would take 2 weeks to analyze our needs, and they needed that demo yesterday. They couldn't provide us with appropriate software either, as they had no idea what would work, and it wasn't their business. The thing is, we weren't even allowed to download freeware according to our guidelines. So I quoted page and section, reminded them I had a previous written warning and order, as well as my entire office, and would refuse on that basis. I would be happy to run the whole thing on my personal machine with my own software, but reminded them that was also against the rules. Needless to say, I had an interesting chat with my own manager, and was eventually excused to just download anything and record the demo. I made sure to send the video along with the information I had been explicitly told by my higher-ups to comply, who I CC'd, and I put in the software's name and download website so I could cover myself. That rule was relaxed very soon after. Funny thing was, whenever our laptops needed to be re-imaged, they would still come with the offending program. We were just never bothered about it. The third story is called After Our Calls. Back in the late 2000s, I managed a call center. We conducted opinion surveys for government programs in universities mostly, but not selling. During the busy season, I would have about 8 supervisors and approximately 100 staff on the phones with hours from 9 AM to 9 PM. With the long operating hours, I was not there all the time, so I had to rely on my supervisors to make decisions when I was not there. Working with the supervisors, I wanted to enable them to make decisions on their own and not have to call me for everything. My line of thinking was that it would give them the confidence to do their job more effectively. If I disagreed with their decision, I would call them into my office at the earliest opportunity to discuss why I thought it was, get their opinion, and if needed, come up with a solution. It sounds cheesy, but it was important to me for them and me to have it as a learning experience. At one point, we hired a manager who managed the call center managers. There were several call centers across the country. While he was a nice guy, he was a terrible micromanager. He would be the type of guy who would email minutes after a project manager's email with a question, asking what the plan was. For reasons unknown to me, he had issues with the supervisors making decisions on their own. They were instructed to call me requesting decisions on everything. I went from no calls a night while I was at home to several, and before you ask, no, there was no extra pay for getting these calls or a cell phone to take those calls. Well, one night I was not home to take a call, and an important decision had to be made. The next day, micromanager instructed the supervisors to call him if I was not available. You can probably guess where this is headed. I stopped answering any calls at home and let everything go to voicemail. This meant the supervisors had to call micromanager, which now happened almost every night. Micromanager asked me pretty quickly why I did not take any calls, and I would say a different answer every time to explain why I was out. I don't know if he ever caught on, but he never made any changes to his decisions. I really enjoyed my time there and the interactions with my staff. Within 6 months of his arrival, he destroyed it, and I found employment elsewhere. The last story is called Don't Hog It. I worked at a furniture delivery place a couple of years back. I did a 420 kilometers trip to a truck stop and waited to swap trucks with another driver. Then made the same trip back, give or take $8.50 each way. I did this Mondays and Tuesdays, with the occasional Wednesday. One of the boys gets annoyed and speaks up, saying, why does he get the easy job? All he does is drive. I want to have a turn. It's not fair he's the only one to get it every week. Manager gets upset, tells me I need to switch and be fair with the rest of the drivers and not hog the easy one. All good. What he didn't realize is there's literally nothing to do other than pull over for a 5 to 10 minute break and your lunch. You can cruise as if you were an offsider. Most crews had 2 to 3, one being a designated driver and the others being labor. You chill in the cab, sometimes have a nap and wait till the next location, and maybe move 3 items max per job and build a couple. This was a total of 8 to 10 hours of driving. I've always loved long drives. I chuck on my music and go about it. I don't need to interact with people. All the other boys had done the run before. No one liked it. You got far more breaks actually doing deliveries and such. Had he asked me about it, I'd have told him, but since he got jerky, I just decided to set the navigation up for him and move on. He lasted 1 round trip. The moment he got back to the yard, he said, this is crap, you can have it back. But I said, nah, I like this more. You told him you wanted the run. You can have it. He took me out for a night of drinking and I got the run back. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.